Hello and welcome, eSports fans. We are live with the FEL Overwatch Cup, the Finnish eSports League, and I am here, FBI Tugboat. Casting with me is Bringe. Bringe, my man, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, of course, as we have two absolutely stellar teams clashing up against each other here on the FEL Overwatch Cup. One team, everyone should know them by now. I mean, they really don't need much in terms of introductions. Top caliber teams when it comes to not only contenders, but potentially, I mean, even the Overwatch League. We have ex-Overwatch League players in the lineup too, so they are definitely the tournament favorites here. In blue, it's Team Gigantti, Milky Man, Zappis, Davin, Visility, Zupe, and Lil Bo.
Yes, sir. On the other side, Classic Esports, a little bit of a newer team. Can guarantee they're going to show the fire, going to show the flame. They are going to be coming out, answering quickly. Me and Bringe are talking a little bit about this. Probably going to see a little bit of goats, but probably a lot of bunker comp. A lot of Baptiste, a lot of Bastion, getting that damage on in there, popping out the immortality field when it's necessary. You know, try and keep everybody alive. That is what that field is best at. Call it a crispy. Going on Lijiang Tower first, we will be seeing this through, and then losers will pick maps from there. Is that correct, Bringe?
That is indeed correct, and the second map will be an escort type situation. We'll see what's gonna come down to when we're there, because in the meantime, let's look at this interesting matchup here between these two teams. Of course, Goats, surprise here from Gigantti, nobody expected, but already making a couple of changes here as they will go back towards their spawn, as they did see the different approach that their opponents are bringing here in Classic Esports. I mean, Korea on the Roadhog, of course, not as commonly seen, but this is one of the top map picks, as you see right there. That's exactly why Roadhog can see some little bit of action.
Yes, sir. You love it, can't res it, even if you have a Mercy on your team. Now Classic Esports taking a few. Dark Artest and Kreia, excuse me, can be both a little far up there. Now going up to about 10%. The Goats comp has not shown anything yet.
And I'm curious to see how this swap will also play out here for Gigantti. They are going to be playing at a deficit for now as they're clashing onto that point, but the decisive actions means that the rest of Classic Esports are already pushed out. 50% towards that cap in their favor, 24 built up on the other side. Setlet does lose his mech, so not looking too hot right now for Classic.
Yeah, he got very low there. He's pretty close to the next one, but oh, Dark Artest not able to use that shield ability on the falling as well, and this might be a quick one going on the way of Gigantti. As I say that, actually, Zato's going to get taken on out of that mech pretty quickly and slept right off the rip. Every member of Gigantti is still alive, and they're coming up in a couple different support ultimates here. 46, 47% now as Mickey does fall. Bepsi following the trend. Zap is taking the long plunge, a smart one. Dark Artest falling, and now swapping on over. Team Gigantti taking ticks after 52% for Classic. Now, Switch is coming on through.
And this is where we see this veteran lineup really play to their strengths here in Team Gigantti. The fact that they were so decisive and so incredibly well in terms of executing not only those kills, but making sure that they do have a huge advantage looking forward here as they will push on with so many ultimates available to their side. Earth Shattered committed too. And interesting swaps on the other side.
Yeah, the swaps there, I can see, you know, the Setlet, Kreia, Bepsi. Makes a lot of sense. Anj going on over to that Mercy to try and damage boost, heal up. The Pharah up top, only player in Overwatch, can consistently keep themselves in the air. Now 40% for Team Gigantti. And what? They invested 2 ultimates there, now the switch from Milky Man.
And the big problem for their opponents here is the fact that they caught up in terms of that cap on the point. 50% Graviton are committed solo onto Dark Artest. Zupe will go down. That is a big target as the Transcendence was available, but let's see whether or not Classic Esports can capitalize off of it.
Did get that minefield out, but Gigantti is doing a great job of staying away from it. Zelda now going on over to that Ana, trying to switch this up a little bit. Self-destruct over the top, and they do not have a shield for it. Mixi and Kreia both falling 2 down, and Team Gigantti has been getting this in every time. Starting engagements, taking a couple ticks, investing a single ultimate, and finding all the value in the world for it.
The big problem right now is, yes, they do have the Dragon Strike, but it's not necessarily the biggest value. And speaking of biggest value, I mean, this is the worst time you can really commit for such a swap, especially with Zarya in your belt. I mean, there's down to one last team fight. Lil Bo is going to be ready to answer with a sound barrier.
Yeah, they do have that nano boost coming up pretty soon. Lots of fighting going on the side here. Both teams answering, milking it, getting that damage off. Barrier dropping for Gigantti, 97-98. Nobody's touched yet. There you go. Now they're going to be on there, queuing overtime now. Bepsi falling as the rest of his team is getting very low there. A punch to the face to end Mickey. Dark Artas and the main tank is going to fall, and that's going to be all but, excuse me, that is going to be a team kill. A flashy finish for Team Gigantti on first point lead. Jong, we're going to see if they can recreate it on control. No, Fringe, I always mix up these King of the Hill maps. What is the name of the next one?
Well, it is, for now, we're still on control, of course, as we do have at least one more round good to go here on Lijiang, as we are moving to the observatory side of things here.
Observatory.
And,
I can never remember that.
it's fine. It's always a mess.
I should have it memorized. Exactly. I do like this one a lot. Maybe you see a little May action. That's pretty frequent.
It can definitely be very strong here, as it's gonna section off these tank line, frontline members when it comes to these goat comps, because let's face it, here on Lijiang, we're pretty much gonna see mostly goats. Perhaps we might see, as you said, a little bit of May action, a little bit of even Junkrat, possibly, with so many choke points he can spam into, but most likely not gonna happen. It's gonna be standard play.
Yeah, that's Milkman and Dark Artas meeting in the front. Little Rhine Shield on Rhine Shield, classic move there. On's trying to get a little boop. Looks like he's trying to boop Milky Man, trying to get out of position. Now, that's actually the Divas doing battle by themselves over the side. Setlit losing that one, forced to come all the way back. Zavis does not have very much damage against him. Milky Man getting a little stunned against, but that's going to Gigantti with a solid control of this middle point. Dark Artas and more trying to get in there, and as soon as he gets aggressive, taken on out of this world. Bepsi follows the trend, and that is Classic Esports losing this first team fight.
And it was when they didn't play the standard Ghost comp at the start of that first round when they really played to their strengths and seemed better off. And the interesting mismatch in terms of these two teams right now is the fact that you have Zupe on the Zenyatta with those orbs that prove to be ever so deadly, whereas on the other side, yes, Nano Boost is available, but those Bionades haven't been as deadly or as much of a nuisance as the Zenyatta has to Classic Esports.
Yeah, Mickey just, I think, a little bit of a better positioning for it. Of course, Zavis has been getting that defense matrix out. Here's a couple of ultimates, a lot of them dropping, and that's every member of Classic caught in the shatter. Lots of damage on, that's Prey, Anj, Mickey, Dark Artas, all falling, and again, a full team kill. Oh, no, excuse me. Oh, no, yeah, Setlit is going to get hit off to the side, but outside of that, that's going to be a full team wipe. What is that, 1-2 ultimates invested? Milky Man and Davin's grab?
Big problem is it's always about catch-up here for Classic Esports, it seems like, as now they're gonna just go ahead, make another swap, this time onto Zenyatta for Mickey instead of that Alan. I'm not sure if it's gonna play off in the end because it's already 66% and there's already a big old deficit on your side.
Yep, there's both rallies now. These Briggs keeping that armor and shielding on top of the rest of their teammates, moving in very low, and there you go. We see Zelfa getting right on in there with that Transcendence. Grab now falling, getting a lot of members of Gigantti in there, but there's a sound of struck by both sides. Anj gonna fall first. Charge coming in. Milky Man finds his target. Dark Artas getting very low. The solo shatter. Zelfa getting lots of his own. And even with that charge against Milky Man, it's just not gonna matter. Ooh, that might have been a... You hate to see that. That is a true you hate to see it. He does have to pull it to contest away. Anj did get there at the very end now. Switches coming on over. Bepsi going on to the Tracer. Not sure if he's gonna be able to touch it there. Not gonna be able to matter. Clean 2-0 for Gigantti on Lijiang Tower.
I mean, talk about clean execution. That second round was absolutely dominant here for Gigantti, and this is what we'd expect, right? This is the top team coming into the tournament. This is the team to beat, and Classic Esports, to be fair, on their end, it's all about what they can show today here versus a team like Gigantti, because any good showing, really, is just going to be looking good for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're here. They did a really good job with a little bit of different compositions on the very beginning. That's just going to be, I mean, GOATS is Gigantti. That's what they do. That's what they've done for a while. Anybody who watches the European Contenders knows that, these guys did take Seasons 1 and Season 3 of European Contenders. Now, the lineup was a little bit different then. Lots of players, as Bringe mentioned, going on over the Overwatch League and more. So very, very interesting stuff. Classic Esports. Who was that? That was Setlit, I believe, that you were talking about knowing. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. He has a TF2 background, and he has played versus, actually recently, versus one of the really good teams coming into the Fel Cup in Nariki eSports with their Frost team, of course, now being the official one. You actually won against them, so Setlet definitely one to look out for here in Classic Esports. But as he said, when it comes to Gigantti and when it comes to the Finnish players in Overwatch in general, they've always been traditionally all about the tank play. I mean, the top players, like of course Zupe and Zappis, you remember them all the way back when Zappis was in NIP. NIP was the team that was running quad tank over and over again in the European scene, and it's for a good reason. They were damn good at it, and now that we're of course in a meta where those tank heavy plays are favored, you can definitely see that come into fruition, because Milky Man has been always favored when it comes to positioning with his Reinhardt, as we saw that big shatter come through on that second round, and Zappis has just been better off with his timings, with those projected barriers and everything else.
Yep, just playing on the Zarya, showing a lot of value for it. Now I'm curious, you guys play paper scissors rock over there, correct? That might be a dumb question. Okay, yeah, just making sure, because I mean, it's the correlation I want to draw here, right? DPSs kill tanks, supports keep tanks up, right? When you're looking at this and you have all these healers, loads of tanks in a region that is so well known for having just nutty tank players, you're gonna have teams like Gigantti coming out on top. They just proved why they were able to come on through and just absolutely dominate certain seasons of European contenders. You want to talk a little bit about the FEL Cup here? A little bit of tournament. We did not get a whole lot of time to deduce that.
Most definitely. I mean, again, the setup in terms of the format in of itself, it's round robin right now. We are still in that stage of the tournament, best of 5. So a lot more maps to play here for not only these two teams, but a lot more to come, a lot more action to come soon enough. And of course, as Gigantti does have that early lead, I mean, they're going to just solidify their position in the rankings, and you definitely want to do that because first one to go out of the group has a guaranteed spot in the finals. That's going to get you closer to that top prize pool, a total prize pool of 10,000 euros, which is definitely nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, an entire prize pool of 10,000 euros. That's a solid little amount of money. Any Americans listening, that is about a little more than $11,000. So that's going to be a significant amount of money, just under $1,000 going to each of these players if they do win first place. That's pretty significant. Like you just mentioned, the top seed will get that bye on to the grand finals, 2nd through 5th. In a few weeks, when playoffs start, we'll be also competing for that 2nd place, playing up against them. We're looking at, 6 more weeks, I believe, with the finals played on June 25th. That's going to be offline in Finkino. Did I say that right?
I believe so. I mean, my Finnish or Suomi pronunciation is not exactly top-notch. I can pretty much...
I would be amazed if I pronounce that right. I know Helsinki is... I know that's how you say that one. I know
that is correct.
I know the... Okay, yeah, there you go. All right. We're live. Okay, we're with it. FEL, Finnish Esports League. This is being a nice little minor. This is the English rebroadcast. Again, I'm FBI Tugboat. Casting with me is Bringe. We are going to be back with you guys in just a few seconds once these guys do pick what map they would like to play on. And we are back, eSports fans, here with the FEL Overwatch Cup. I'm FBI Tugboat casting with this Bringe, and we are taking on over to Junkertown. Gigantti is going up 1-0 in this series so far in this best of 5, so they need to win 2 more to close on out. Classic eSports is going to be looking to try and take Junkertown, tie it on up, push this to a map 4.
And this is the type of map that they can really bring out the big guns, show a different type of strategy that might throw a wrench in Gigantti's works, because when it comes to control maps, just like we saw in Lijiang, oftentimes it comes down to individual play, and when it comes to individual players and playmaking ability, you can't go wrong with Gigantti, and it's really going to be hard to match them, of course, in that section. But now that we are on an escort type map, of course, with something like Junkertown, there's a lot of different options that we could see. I mean, as of late, definitely we saw a lot of emphasis on the Baptiste Bastion comp setups, and since it is already Junkertown, you know, the pirate ship comp was already popular prior to Baptiste's release, so it's interesting to see what they're going to be doing on both sides, because on defense they're going to run something very standard, but Zupe not favoring the Zenyatta this time. It's going to be the Ana, and interesting positioning for them, definitely waiting for this Bastion type comp.
Yeah, I can see the Ana for the anti-grenades, correct? Like they do not want to let Bepsi and more on top, but we are not seeing a Baptiste. How interesting.
Well, it is Junkertown, so you can run the classic pirate ship comp, if you will. That might be one of the main reasons, but we do see Gigantti pushed back right now, so this is not looking too hot considering they lost their mech suit, but in return, Setlet might be dropping super low as well. Bep is struggling to stay alive, will manage to do so in the end, but this is an all-out brawl onto this payload, and if Korea can get a couple of cheeky shots up to the side, that's going to be a good opening here.
That's Bepsi already with that Bastion ultimate. Now he's dropping down, trying to get those on in there. Giving himself a little boost up under the butt, trying to get that on over there. The only healer on the side of Classic really has her work cut out for him. Nice, I say that. Kreia finding a nice headshot here against Gavin. That's excuse me, is going to be down. Zappas losing his mech as Bepsi is deleted, so the main source of damage Classic eSports is going to be gone here as Gigantti does wrap this one up. Get a lot of damage on there and find the value from Zappa with the antis. With the sleeps. Love to see it.
And it's interesting to see how effective they really played against that setup and how vulnerable they left Bepis all around. When you run that Bastion, that's the primary thing you want to do. Either save him with 1 or 2 shields even, or use on the right now, Bep is finally finding success off onto the high ground. Will be revived instantly by the man advantage, building up a favorite class.
Yeah, it's such a tall order to try and keep a team all the way back when that spawn is so close. Still, Gigantti doing that and taking off, what, a minute and some change off of the time clock of Classic eSports is still considered a W by any measure in this caster's opinion. We're going to see Milky Man and Davin coming on in with those big tank ultimates soon. Zuppa not opting to switch, but I do not think that he should.
It's interesting how far forward they're actually setting up here. Classic eSports, it's almost as if they weren't quite ready for their opposition, as they're going to be charging right in. Looking for Krat. It's actually going to be Bepis who still finds that kill. Self-destruct, flies away, finds no kill, and Classic eSports hold on strong.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. Bepis, I mean, they said it was like Pepsi with a B, so I'm gonna keep going with that, even though it says Bepis. Pepsi with an I. That was just a really, I mean, the aim, the distraction with the self-destruct over the top, it was really well set up.
And they made quick work of their opposition, of course. They do have a lot of potential ultimates coming into this next team fight that could stop them, but more importantly for Gigantti, they wasted a lot of time off that time bank here for their opposition, and with this infrared sight coming in online, they're gonna have all the information for a potential favorite setup. Earthshatter goes wide, doesn't find any target. However, Zupe finds a snipe.
Nicely done on that one, taking out the mech of Setlet. That's going to be the main support now down for Gigantti. Zuppa not going to be able to get those in there. Mickey does fall, the Ana to the other side, so Classic is going to have about 53 seconds as Setlet does the right thing, falls on over the side and goes to reset the rest of his team.
Beautiful execution here, even Lilbo going in some of that action aggressively on that Lucio. However, with 40 seconds, as he said, left on the timer, it's not going to be too much room here for the side of Classic eSports, considering the Gigantti will have at least 2 answers potentially coming through. But headshot is going to connect, that's going to be good. However, still uncontested, it's going to be down to whether or not they can stay alive, because Mickey is going to go down.
Nice charge. Milky Man realizes what he needs to do as the rest of Classic gets on in there, but without their main tank, that's going to be A-okay. Lots of damage and more. And now 14 seconds as Dark Artas does drop that supercharger. I'm not 100% sure if that was the smart one. Anj is on the loose here. They could have gotten on back there. Mickey is the one getting a little bit close here. The ball now from FC. Okay, excuse me, I did not see the Diva. Well done. That native boost coming on in there. Set by keeping the Diva alive for right now. Lots of damage coming on top of him. Milky Man trying to get a nice charge there. Not going to happen today. Kreia switching on over that Tracer now. The Stall Top coming on in here. Bepsi forced to come on back a little bit. Now getting that round damage on. Self-destruct over the side. Okay, so Zappa's going to be back in mech pretty much instantly. And Gigantti taking the clean one, not even allowing 1 point on Junkertown.
Brutal here for Classic Esports, and that's the big problem when you face somebody like Gigantti. I mean, we talked about, you know, of course, the obvious players here in the likes of Zappis and Zupe, but you can't forget about players like Visibility, top tier flex player and DPS player, also Lobo, an exceptional player having a background in the StarCraft 2 scene, even coming in here in this Gigantti lineup. Definitely looking like they're going to be shaping up to be, again, unsurprisingly, one of the top contenders team this season as well.
Top contenders teams, indeed. So, would the Baptiste have changed anything? I think that Kreia on that Widowmaker really did provide a lot of value. Took out Davin on the Zarya pretty early there and put a lot of damage onto him. Later, as Milky Man, had the shield up to the rest of the team, but Davin was not protected. Did not finish that one out. Davin did get, the health off from his teammates when it was necessary. But, I mean, it seemed like Gigantti came in there and just, they mostly held back. Then when they were ready, they shot in, got a lot of damage down, and got the kills they needed. Now, that is what Baptiste prevents. Would that have made a difference?
Well, not necessarily, I would think, mostly because when it comes to Junkertown, in this first part of the map, there's not as many angles that it can really play around in terms of making sure that immortality field stays up. So I think that's the primary reason why you wouldn't expect it. But this is something that's really interesting on the defensive side. Double sniper composition is something we've seen in the past, has been definitely way stronger in previous seasons, like 3 seasons ago at this point. But we'll see how they can really deal versus this Baptiste Bastion, actually, which is going to be coming down, and you'll get your answer.
There you go, yeah, Little Boat now switching on over to that one. Visibility on that Bastion is going to be the one pouring out most of this damage. Does have the shield up from Milky Man. And now this defense forced to kind of pull on over the side. Both snipers providing a lot of damage from 2 different angles. That's exactly what they wish to do. As Setleg does get up there, does fall. They did force out the invincibility shield. So that's going to be significant. That one's going to go on over to cooldown as Visibility does fall. They do not have the mercy for the res. Of course, he's not very far away, but we'll be back very soon. Zaba falling to well-placed headshot. Great, doing what he needs to on the snipers. Still damage over the side. There's the Baptiste, still a little bit early, but that damage is going to get it done. Milky Man getting it with headshots. Lobo does fall, well placed shots here by the Hanzo. Facility taking on the main tank. That is a hate. That's a hate you hate to see it right there.
And the idea is good coming in from the defensive side here for Classic Esports, but they still need to capitalize off of these kills right now. And it's gonna come off to their Dragon Strike as the payload is so close to that objective with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left to go. Earth Shatter actually connecting onto the Diva player there, but finally Classic Esports are looking like they might just eventually be able to stabilize, but it's not over just yet.
That self-destruct mostly used for zoning over there, looks like. Roadhog getting it done here, but shut down instantly. Here's the supercharger now, got very low, did not get the damage off on that one. Now, as I say that, Gigantti rolling on in, 2.5 minutes to go. Easy peasy. So, yeah, they really did get the switches they need. What you mentioned there about what Classic was doing on paper, awesome, right? The dual snipers, 2 different sources of damage that you cannot ignore. But in execution, what do they say in the military? That no plan ever withstands, first engagement with the enemy or whatever.
I mean, that's pretty much it, even though, I mean, to be fair, that first engage in that last team fight was looking pretty good for Classic Esports. It did exactly what that comp set out to do, which is, again, split off their attention and make sure you pick off a couple of those backline targets, a couple of those key members, and somebody like a Baptiste, of course, support, or more importantly, the Bastion in this case, coming out of Visibility, has proven to be exceptional as always. It's really tough. It's really tough to execute, and when you're versus a super high caliber team like Gigantti 2, that's gonna be that much of a steeper hill to climb, really.
It really is. I think that, my hat goes off here to Milky Man. On the main tank, on the Orisa there towards the end, Davin was actually the one who switched on over to the Reinhardt. So Milky Man, even though the damage is being poured in, still kept his mind. He lost a couple teammates, right? That's some lesser players might have really freaked out about it. Not really know exactly how to respond or whatever else like that. But he kept that cool, was able to get those damage shots on, and finished up a couple key members of Classic Esports. So now we're looking at Gigantti up 2-0, and we'll be back with you guys in just a couple minutes. FEL here, FBI Tugboat casting, Bringe casting with. This is Team Gigantti taking on Classic Esports. Team Gigantti up 2-0, playing some very, very solid GOATS compositions, Bringe.
And I mean, at this point, you know, it's not something unexpected, of course. GOAT's still as strong as ever, even though we did see a couple of nerfs come the way of the likes of Gigantti and what have you, but still, overall in the grand scheme of things, considering the maps that are at hand, it's been mostly about those GOATS compositions, right? But at the very least, we did get a sneak peek at what Gigantti can do with something like that Bastion setup, and that's going to be exciting because on the other side as well, Classic Esports, I think if they can really play to their strengths, which seems to be right now those DPS-centric compositions, I want to see what both of these teams can do with those two types in the future.
Yeah, Classic Esports came on out at the beginning of Lijiang with a little bit of wonkiness, a little bit something different. I respected it. Found a little bit of value, but was forced to switch after, I think it was Zuppa going over on the Ana, just mix up that GOATS comp just by a little bit, and that's exactly what they needed to do. Just straight, I mean, you said it all, man. GOATS comp is the strongest. There's a reason why it's played consistently all the way from, you know, this caster's, you know, plat games all the way up to the Overwatch League.
Bastion.
Oh boy, I don't know Tugboat, but I think we're in for some potential mean gameplay right here. However, this is nothing to be scoffed at because the Orisa shield could be enough with the help of Zappis on that Mei, especially since he's gonna use that wall to perhaps boost him up top. However, it's just gonna be that particular ledge that are gonna be setting up camping. Onto their flank, they're gonna have the turret right now set up from Torbjorn here for Davin, so very interesting composition coming in here for Gigantti in blue.
Well, we saw dual snipers, now we're seeing dual turrets. It's the 2019 meta.
Oh boy.
So Davin has now played what, Zarya, Reinhardt, Torbjorn. Did he? No, that was a little bit of playing Baptiste. At least those three characters, but still, that's, you know, very, very different, right? Little off tank, little main tank, little Torbjorn. Oh my god.
No.
Oh my. That is the fastest that this caster has seen damage come on to an entire team in a very, very long time. It did not come from an ultimate. That was nutty. That was what Mickey on the Baptiste. You know, on just a whole lot of damage coming against them, and with a so low shield by Dark Artist, it's not gonna stay for very long. Tempted the hook there. You do like to see it. Anti coming on out, and Setlet left out in the dark.
How are they winning this one? It's just like Gigantti's going out fishing with that halt ability. Just, bionated, get him out and section him off with the use of that wall. So very well practiced, very well executed. However, they did lose one member, so now they're gonna fight it all out onto the point with Setlet already contesting. Zappis dropping extremely low, but he's all alone. So yes, he forced him to get out of that ledge or out of that high ground position, but this is not exactly ideal here for the side of Classic Esports. Now they're gonna have to wait on that reinforcement.
Man, Zuppa is getting these anti-grenades everywhere that he wants. Rez coming on out now. Freya, very well done. Again, anti against him. There's the molten core, and he's yelling. That Zappis Maywall actually kind of. It seems like sometimes those Zappis Maywall has actually kind of helped a little bit.
I mean, for the most part, it helped their team, I do have to say. But Nadabu's now committed onto Milky Man. Not a lot of members left onto this point. Bep is just making quick work of him, especially with the help of Mickey. And now it's gonna be up to whether or not Gigantti can, at the very least, force a couple of people down out of their own position, especially now with the Blizzard being committed. I mean, if they win this team fight, that is almost gonna be over here for the attacking side, as Bep is gonna claim one kill with the use of that tank configuration. Dragon Strike coming through. Might actually pick him out, but no, it's Freya who picks those targets out. And in the end, it's finally gonna be Classic Esports, hopefully for them, getting that second tick and eventually the point.
Yeah, I don't see this ball lasting long. Yes, Milkman getting the lead down quickly. We're just gonna be trying to contest that one. Zuppa, I mean, on the Ana, obviously can't do that too much. That's first point now, and now Classic Esports looking at a solid little time bank, but the meme is done. Oh, I take that back. Zappis is now on the Symmetra. Okay, I'm here for it.
Deployed.
All right, Zappis, let's see it. I definitely want to see it. I mean, he could still swap. You might just do that, and there we go.
Okay, yeah, that's
a little bit of beta switch there.
Yeah. Well, just using the teleporter to get the visibility on the Bastion up at the top. That's not a unique strategy. It's just a little bit different, I guess. Now that Baptiste window coming on out, they're gonna do damage boost and boost the healing coming onto him and the rest of his teammates. They're only looking at one ultimate. Zeppa's nano boost. I don't know why I can't say that today.
Oh, but the kills are still heavily favoring the side of Classic Esports, as they got a triple kill there for Beppa's side.
There you go. Gigantti with the strategic pause.
I mean, I love
that's gonna be...
I love the practices this team has definitely put in the time, because I don't know if it's just up to the coach or the experienced players, one of the experienced players, but just even that with Symmetra, I completely forgot about how she can really be used to get in those tactical spots, tactical high grounds advantage. But overall, as I said, again, it's all about Classic Esports. They really have to capitalize right now, because it's all about that snowball when it comes to these, of course, assault maps. Milkyman going back up to the point. Zupa did go down, but it's all a matter of time right now. 2 ticks on the board.
Yeah, that's very, very low. That is not gonna last long. Okay, so Classic Esports has found their stride. Lots of damage on, now using that Roadhog ultimate. Setlet, gonna blast everybody off a point. That is what it is used for. Nicely done there. So they're gonna take it all the way on Hanamura, where that I'm gonna see Gigantti on attack.
Switching sides.
And I think at this point, Gigantti's gonna say, okay, we had our fun. It's been great, but this is where we really have to start bringing it back in our favor, because 4 minutes and 9 seconds is a really good time here on Hanamura. Sure, we've definitely seen it go into overtime plenty of times when it comes to these assault maps, but again, you can't underestimate even the likes of Classic Esports, having shown that they had the quick adaptation there. Once they saw what they're up against, they swapped to their Bastion setup of their own. They played it beautifully, made sure that he is safe next to that entrance, making sure that they do use the Batiste to their favor as well. And in the end, they went out in those small engages that eventually led them into that win. And of course, second point snowball, which of course, again, it's not something that's very easily executed. So props to them.
Yeah, not every time, especially, you know, when you have teams like this that are just, they are very well coordinated. They had to be, you know, to qualify for these. Gigantti is just the one that we know a little bit more of, because they've, you know, been contenders and everything more. So now, a little bit, no, okay, so Davin's going to be here for the teleporter, right? Oh, never mind. Going on over to the Sombra. Maybe use that one for a little reconnaissance off the rip.
Oh man, and this is something we haven't seen in a long time, or quite a while at least. I haven't seen as much action of Facility on the Genji. As a Genji main myself, this is something I absolutely love to see, especially with the Facility, the man handling this particular hero, and its overall dive setup coming in here for Gigantti versus Classic Esports, who will have a pretty good answer. And as a result, this is exactly the life of a Genji player versus Goats. You see it, you swap out of it.
I will be your shield.
Yeah, now going on over to the typical Goats composition. Zenyatta on up there. Milkman going over the Ryan. This is going to be mirror comps except for Dark Artos on the Winston. And no, excuse me, and Mickey is on the Ana as well. So anti-grenades in favor, away from the Discord orbs and whatnot. Now Gigantti rotating on around, trying to take that high ground. Lots of sense in it, lots of sense in it.
Down.
Overall, this is looking pretty good for them, considering they managed to stay pretty healthy and look to build up some sort of an advantage of those ultimates, as Zupa is already halfway towards that transcendence.
Artas diving on in there, and he's already up to 85%. And as I say that, lots of damage coming on top of him. That Discord orb going to set up that quick kill for the main tank of Classic Esports. Anti now against Facility, going to have to come on back a little bit. Lots of Gigantti members getting close to ultimates here now. Fighting on, 50% now. 2 minutes 45 of the clock as the Ana Nano Boost comes on in here. 2 sprays, and he's pouring out that damage and going to have his own grab here soon. Can't imagine we won't see that one on first point. Now, little, Zenyatta Transcendence, and that's going to be a little bit late. Zeppa's not going to have that towards the end. Milkman Boast Ability falling there. That's going to be enough. The sound barrier dropping just a little bit too late. Not going to be enough. Zappis actually now getting one of his own as Davin takes out his counterpart. Zarya action as Bepis is going to fall to Davin here. Looks like Gigantti might be winning this one with those short spawns. I can't imagine that Setla is going to be able to hold it by himself.
Oh, it's going to be a struggle. We do see Dark, of course, now back onto the point, but not for long. Only lone Winston left, but as we do see them get this point, at the very least, the good thing
Oh,
here
no.
for Classic Esports is the fact that they forced out quite a bit of those ultimates, and they do still have the Sound Barrier as a potential answer to Milky Man's Earth Shatter, or anything of the sorts, any other shenanigans coming through, and no quick kills are gonna come online for the attacking side either, unless Classic makes a huge mistake because they don't have something that can capitalize off a potential pick like we did see last round for Beppis.
Time to raise my APM.
That, yeah, this seems like Gigantti using the same thing, just really wanting to utilize that vertical positioning until they are ready to dive on in there. Setlet losing the Diva on Diva fight on that one. That's just opposite from the side as Davin does fall. Beppis getting one on that one. A little bit of transcends, but just a little bit too late. Shatter falling, but not going to find a whole lot of value from it as Beppis does. Excuse me. That's going to be a big charge on that one. Dark Archives pulling that one the very last second. Self-destruct over the top. Is going to take out on, and that's going to be the soft support now for Classic Esports falling. They really need that healing as Zuppa does get some nice headshots on Akreya, and this looks like this Gigantti team flowing like water onto opposing teams with this coach composition, as is tradition. 5 minutes on the clock, and they're now about halfway to first tick. Beppis coming on in there and falling by himself. Maybe should have waited for the rest of his team. We see Setlet getting on in there. Shorch is now coming over from Dark Archives. Now getting on in there. Grab coming down. That's going to have a couple on in there. Sound Barriers dropping from Little Bow. That is not going to be enough, my friend. Shatter falling is not going to find anything on that one, but it does not matter. Beppis is the only one left. We're looking 85%, and that's the take with 4 minutes and 26 seconds on the clock.
Well, at that point, it was all about Classic Esports just delaying things as much as possible so they can lower that time bank in the grand scheme of things. I mean, Gigantti, again, when it comes to matching them pound for pound, you're just not going to have a good time. And when it comes to these GOATs compositions, it's even more so less effective. So it's tough to say what the right call would be, honestly, because they had a small advantage when it came down to it with those ultimates. And overall, if just one slight alteration happened in that first team fight onto that second point, could have very well went in their favor instead.
Ready for
Yeah,
battle.
it was a little bit longer, but you made a great point there, Bringe. Like, just a little bit of damage the other way, right? I mean, we saw, I think that was Zuppa pulling a Transcendence a little bit late on his Diva. You know, if that one had come out a little bit earlier, who knows? You know, would that have been faster? Would have been slower? It's really, like, I mean, at that point, it's just theory crafting, right? Showing a little bit of wonkiness on the side of Gigantti. They're going to be going for what they kind of went for to throw, right? Don't bit fix it if it ain't broke.
I mean, you could poke some holes at this strategy for sure, as, again, the problem with defense, especially first point, is that short spawns are going to make your life pretty difficult, and you want to play as safe as possible when it comes to your composition, so you can deal with as many different flavors coming in from the attacking side, if you will. And this time, it seems like they're actually going to go for the dive themselves with a little bit of a interesting setup. I mean, they're going to swap for sure. It's more about scouting right now because it was like 5 DPS, so that's never going to happen. But
No healer meta.
I mean, you know, Bastion,
It could
self-heal.
happen. It could happen. No, there you go. Excuse me. So, something I found was a little bit interesting inside of Gigantti, we're looking at 6 different members, none of which have any movement abilities. Of course, Lil Bao on the Baptiste does have the vertical position, or the vertical movement ability, but that's not going to be anything that's going to do them any favors on their point, on their move back to point if these guys get ticked. And as I say that might be an unlikely situation because Facility and more have just gotten ticks all the way through. Nobody fallen for the side of Gigantti quite yet.
And this is the problem that Classic are facing right now compared to what Gigantti did on their attacking side respectively, is the fact that they don't have a Lucio. And without a Lucio getting into that side room, once you do pull the trigger and decide to go in, you're gonna probably lose at least one member, as we saw right there. Unfortunately for them, it was 2 overall. Yes, you can bring in the res for a potential comeback at that point, but it's definitely gonna be a tougher ask for sure.
Their only shield is literally just that one shield. Yeah, it's just gonna be Milky Man. Yeah, it's just gonna be Milky Man's shield. And that Orisa shield's 900, 800.
I recommend moving behind my barrier.
I mean, this is just absolutely disgusting. It's like Team Gigantti's playing a minigame of just going fishing up against Classic Esports. Set up the bait with the wall and then just fish them up, bionate them, and just kill them one by one. So right now, Facility, good to go with that tank configuration. It's going to be very difficult, but I like this actually coming out of Crab. This is going to finally enable them to get down onto the point.
They're all on point, and that Maywall is not exactly there. There's a little bit of space to get out and in, and now that's the first tick. Now we're getting up to about 60% there. That's almost second one as the May Blizzard does fall. Now Visibility pulling that tank configuration. Zappos, Davin, both falling. Dark Artest, and that's the tank position for the side of Classic. Out now, Bevis down as well. That's still going to be a very solid take. Of course, they came out with a surprise that was the Kreia Symmetra, so they teleported on the point, realized what they needed to do, and that's not, be in front of Visibility and Milky Man and Davin and Zuppus and everybody else who's shooting on top of them constantly, right?
But the problem for them is that they went for this strategy perhaps a little bit too late right now, because Gigantti is a team that is definitely going to adapt extremely quick, as we saw right there, and now already positioning themselves onto the ring stat point. One tick was committed, however, so it's not for anything here on the attacking side of Classic Esports. They do have an ultimate on the side of Beppis, and we'll see how they're gonna go about getting towards that point.
Kreia, yeah, teleporting on over the side. That's gonna be one member. Nobody's gonna be down there now. That Torp trying to get it in there, tossing Molten Core up on the side. But that's just gonna see a Classic Esports rotation. Davin taking out Kreia a little bit earlier there. Well placed headshot, but that's gonna be a-okay. Now with the res out, this Classic Esports team is still at full capacity. Nice anti-grenade coming in. 4 of the 6 members of Classic, and this Zuppa Anna has been on fire all day. Teleporter coming on through here, does not get a whole lot done with that May wall up in the front. I'm getting very low, lots of first damage coming on top of him very quickly. That turret is not, there you go. Now it's gonna fall. Milky Man now deleted. Visibility gone. This might be the opening that Classic Esports needs now. Beppis does fall, so that's gonna be their main support of damage. Zuppa getting that on in there, and Kreia answering quickly. There's the res again. So we're seeing a full Classic Esports team coming on in there, using that set-let whole hog yet again. Clear point. Love to see it.
Symmetra players rejoice. This is one thing that I haven't thought too much about, but honestly, with the changes coming into the meta as of late, especially as we've seen last week with the heavy emphasis on certain maps on this Baptiste Bastion comp, I mean, yeah, Symmetra's gonna be your perfect answer, because you're gonna be able to make those quick rotations and get the best of your opposition.
Pick up the pace.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best, brother. You said it best. Little Bell going on over to that Baptiste. Definitely using that frisbee to try and get something going here. There's their own frisbee, or their own Baptiste. Zappos falling here. Little Bell getting that one. They lead down very, very quickly. The supercharger is out from the side of Milky Man, so that's going to be boosting damage from multiple members, but they really don't have the angles to get it on in there. About halfway now to first tick as Davin just getting absolutely abused on point, and there's first tick. Classic Esports is getting it done here now. 60%, 64, so close to the second one. Zappos getting very low, going down in that May formation just in time. There's the Blizzard, and there is the end of the dream. Except dead in their tracks at 64%, and we're going to see if Gigantti can get it done.
Still, though, huge props for Classic Esports for making it this far, where things looked very dire at that first point. And here on to the second point. Honestly, if it was perhaps any other team outside of Gigantti in the group, they would have taken that second point, because they had an overall good advantage, but they were just a little bit too trigger happy when it comes to getting onto that point. And you give Gigantti a finger, they're just gonna take the whole thing, the whole arm, and one small advantage led to another, and to, of course, an eventual team fight win. So now that we're going to be swapping sides again, it's going to come down to whether or not Classic Esports can find a pretty good answer here on defense. And unfortunately for them, they're going to have to play this one as safe as possible, most likely.
Yep. You said it best. Little Winston on there with the rest of a very typical GOATS comp. Otherwise, Dark Artest on that Monkey going to be having a lot more mobility, and that really is the name of the game here in Hanamura, especially Point A. Where they're going to set up, that's the question.
And of course, on the attacking side, I mean, we're most likely going to see quick swaps here for Gigantti once they see what they're up against, just like that last attacking round for them. Sad to not see any dive action, of course, but this is a potential comp that could come through with Zappos on the Sombra and Visibility on the May. However, it's not really the case. Already making the swap onto Gigantti. He knows what's going to happen most likely. It is going to be also Milky Man onto Reinhardt. Full commit here for Gigantti. They know this works, and hey, as you said, why fix it, really?
Yeah, don't fix it if it isn't broken, right? Push off. Was initially going for that reconnaissance Sombra, not going to happen. Visibility actually falling a little bit early there, so that's going to be the Brig now down. That really is a huge part of this GOATS composition.
That was Ange's positioning to credit there, because he was able to get in that boop to make sure Facility's out of position, and now if you can deny him the opportunity to regroup with the rest of his team, this is gonna delay Gigantti for quite a bit. However, they still have 3 minutes and 40 seconds to take this first point, and afterwards beat that 64%. So plenty of time left. However, now Anji, Facility fighting back, finds that retaliation kill instead.
Yeah, that revenge best served form, because that one came quickly. Facility actually is angry. He's getting damage left and right. Lots of damage on Adeptus. His counterpart on that one is Davis, just, just taking a little snooze on point. It's all good. 3 minutes, 15 seconds as Gigantti coming in very close to this as Mickey does get knocked on off the side. There's going to be looking at a large time bank for Gigantti as they are posturing up for a second point.
And the critical thing for them right now is the fact that they are a big deficit when it comes to that ult economy. And we know who can execute really well when it comes to those ultimates. So I really want to see Classic Esports hold their composure here and make the right calls. Because on the offensive side, with actually all 3 support ultimates available and that Earth Shatter onto Milky Man, it's going to be looking very scary for them.
Okay, so that's going to be the solo against Dark Horse. That's still a very, very good decision. Now, that's going to see Classic investing that grab, Transcendence answering it, as is tradition. Lots of damage coming on his side. He's trying to get away. He's got 99%. Now that's 50 here for Gigantti. Barely gets in there, and the boop on the Diva takes him out. Oh my goodness. These Lucios really did both of these Lucios, both sides, did a great job of really coming in the clutch at the very, just 12 times. Facility, like you mentioned on the very beginning, and that's going to be onto the other side and on away, getting that Devon out. No contest today.
And Gigantti showing why they are the favorites coming into the tournament, of course. Just as strong as ever and looking as scary as ever. Milky Man having some really good plays too. I mean, some of his Earth Shatters and positionings were on point, and on top of that, his Orisa play has been stellar. It's been one of the heroes that can shine a little bit more as of late with those recent buffs. Of course, to that movement speed while holding down the left click and what else in between. But that's been pretty much it. That's a quick 3-0 here. Talk about.
Yeah, that's quick 3-0 indeed. That's just report the news as it comes. This is the FEL Overwatch Cup, the Finnish Esports League Overwatch Cup, with Gigantti taking a quick 3-0 over Classic Esports. This is a round-robin tournament resulting in a €10,000 prize pool. Coming on at June 25th will be the finals. We have several more weeks of round-robin play before we get on the playoffs. We will see you guys next week.